Ciao everybody, Cullen Gandy here, and today I wanted to talk about YouTube and how YouTube makes money. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down how people make money on YouTube, how much money you can actually make doing YouTube if you're an influencer of some kind, and basically where all the money comes from. And then I'll be talking about what I've learned in my journey doing YouTube over the past year and a half. First of all, in order to become a more streamlined YouTuber, you have to get to the benchmark of monetization. Monetization is always going to be the goal, and it's going to be one that is easier to get for some people than it is for others. In order to make money from YouTube, content creators can make money in one of three ways, or all of the three ways, right? You get AdSense revenue from ads that play during your content. You can do affiliate marketing by promoting some other kind of product on a website. So let's say you do Amazon affiliate marketing, or you can do sponsorships as an affiliate and go that route so that they can promote their products on your channel. Or companies can pay you to promote their product directly as a sponsor, and that depends on how relatable your particular content and your particular channel is to their target audience. And then finally, you yourself can merchandise, whether that be you sell clothing or courses or things like this. And this is a very profitable way that a lot of people who don't really have as much of a user-friendly or advertiser-friendly channel, that's a way that a lot of those folks get paid a good amount of money every month. Let's say you're a content creator and you've started to gain a little bit of a following and you have been monetized by YouTube. First of all, I want to say that if you're trying to grow a channel with a certain audience or within a certain niche in the YouTube community, it is always beneficial to actually monetize your videos, as YouTube is a business and they will promote videos that are going to make them, and by association you, more money. The things that you have to do to fulfill the requirement to become monetized on YouTube are: you have to gain 1,000 subscribers in the past year and attain 4,000 watch hours. Once you get that many watch hours, you can submit your channel for review to see if YouTube will monetize you. And usually they will monetize you unless your content is so advertiser unfriendly that they just don't want to have to deal with it. For those of you who don't know, YouTube is governed by an algorithm that suggests and promotes videos to certain audiences that they think will appeal to that particular person in question. So if they've seen that you like watching video game videos, obviously they're going to promote video game videos to that particular viewer. Based on how popular your content is within a certain community, you will receive money in the form of revenue from ads, or Google AdSense. And there are several factors that go into how much money you make in Google AdSense. A lot of the time it has to do with what you're talking about or what your channel's centered around, how advertiser friendly your content is, but we'll get to all that later. So YouTube pays content creators relative to how much it costs per 1,000 views. You have the CPM, or cost per mil, and that is just a metric of how much YouTube charges potential advertisers to advertise on your particular content. A normal CPM for a normal channel can range, and it just really depends on the type of audience that you are creating content for. Generally, there are a lot of things that go on that determine how much that CPM number is going to cost those advertisers, and I will get to that at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. The second metric, and the one that you're really going to want to pay attention to when you start to be monetized, is that RPM number, or the revenue per mil. That is the metric that measures how much you're getting paid relative to 1,000 views on your content, right? That's how much money you make after YouTube takes their cut of the pie. I've watched a ton of YouTube to sort of figure out which channels get what kind of RPMs and what those kind of look like for each individual creator. But throughout the entire gamut of all of the different audiences and niches that people create content for, I can say that more or less a pretty normal RPM for people is going to sit around the $6 range. So that means if you create a piece of content and it goes out there and you get 1,000 views on that, generally you're gonna get about $6 back for that 1,000 views. However, and as I will show you later on in the video, these things do sort of swing wildly based on what your target audience is and how broad it is. And also, what is the age and the location of that audience? How valuable is that audience to potential advertisers? I think you're going to be surprised on how high these things can go. The next thing I want to talk about is affiliate marketing. Now, affiliate marketing is something that a lot of people might be familiar with just in day-to-day life. As you are working in business, obviously you want to help market your particular product to people. So you give people who influence others in a certain market niche, or people who are popular among the target audience, the opportunity to attach themselves to your product so that you can get your bang for your buck. This is something that you have direct control over as a content creator yourself. You can reach out to different companies. For example, I've done it with mortgage education companies because a lot of people who want to work for mortgage companies need a certain type of education. I can make money by prescribing that information over to whatever company that I choose. I can say, hey, here's a link to a company that I trust, and when they get that sale, I get a cut of it. If you're just doing an Amazon affiliate link, unless you're really leaning heavy and trying to steer people towards your affiliate brands and things that you're sort of promoting, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to make a ton of money unless you just have a huge audience. So as a beginning kind of monetized YouTuber, you want to set yourself up in the affiliating space, but you might not be able to depend on that as your main source of income until you get into the tens and hundreds of thousands of potential subscribers and viewers. The way that a lot of YouTubers who may not be as advertiser friendly but more popular with a wider audience, like say the Logan Pauls, the Jake Pauls, those types of folks who are just pumping out content that reaches millions and millions of viewers every month, those people make money by directly monetizing their own brand. They have something that is incredibly valuable. They have a direct audience of millions of people who are watching. Even though a lot of their content might be a little controversial or might be a little bit mundane, right? A lot of advertisers might not want to advertise on their content just because the scope is too broad, or maybe a lot of people don't have as much money to spend in that group. You can directly make money off of that wide audience yourself, because the one thing that all of those folks are going to have in common is they like your content. So folks like that, they're going to be making t-shirts, hats, merchandising any way that they can. And a lot of times, the return on investment goes directly back to the content creator themselves in the form of tens of thousands or sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars per month in the case of the best YouTubers. With all of that knowledge in hand and looking out for the analytics that you want, the next question is, well, how do I actually get an audience, and how do I actually start making with AdSense on YouTube, or start marketing to the affiliates, or start getting a sponsorship? Well, admittedly, I'm still a pretty small YouTuber myself. I've only got 1,220 subscribers as of the date of this video, right? But here's some of the things that I have learned and have helped me kind of grow. Even though I have a smaller community, the reason that I don't get as much traction as some of the more popular video platforms depends on several factors. The first thing that I learned, if you're trying to maximize on being monetized and being a content creator, is that you just always want to try to keep your content ad-friendly, right? In fact, this is something that YouTube prompts you to check off on when you publish a video. Ad-friendly content means that you're not going to be using any profanity in your pieces of content. You're not going to be talking about sensitive or political issues. Another thing that you're going to want to make sure that it's not only ad-friendly, but that you're consistently posting ad-friendly content so that you build up a library of videos that people can go through if they find that one video that they like. The reason that my channel gains whatever profitability it has for me in the short term now is because I engage a very niche set of people. The people that are interested mostly in mortgages, but also in becoming mortgage loan originators. I do a lot of videos because I looked in the analytics and I saw that the videos that do best for me are the ones that educate young mortgage loan originators. And so I started posting more and more of those. And even though I've gotten fairly popular in that community, the scope of how much I can engage with that community is limited to the amount of people that are really interested in, one, mortgages, which not a lot of folks are, and two, people who are interested in being mortgage loan originators. Ad-friendly content means that you're not going to be using any profanity in your pieces of content. You're not going to be talking about sensitive or political issues. And generally, you're just not going to be wanting to talk about any buzzwords that are going to put companies off from wanting to be on your piece of content. Now, that's a little bit easier to do if you're in the business space, but not so easy to do perhaps if you're in like a prankster channel, or if you're in a channel that relies heavy on the video gaming community or something like that, where there's a lot of variables that you can't control. The next thing that you're going to want to know is that niches or targeted communities that you're creating content for can vary widely based on how much you get engagement from that community, or if that community is seen to be more valuable to certain advertisers over another. This is something where if you really hit all of your targets and your engagement, the company can pay you directly based on the size of the audience or the age of the audience or how much money that audience seems to be making. For example, if you have a generally older audience and you promote content that has to do with maybe finance or real estate investing, it's going to be pretty valuable to a mortgage company or a bank that gives out loans to try to promote on your content. If you're targeting a small community, but it's in the United States and it is a part of a community that can get more bang for the buck when it comes to the advertiser, you might be able to make a good amount of money even though you have 5,000-10,000 subscribers and get, maybe 10 to 20,000 views a day. Diverse target audiences and niches can command a wide variety of different CPMs and RPMs, as I'll show you here. At the low end, you can see like gaming channels, lifestyle channels, prank channels. Those are going to be on the lower spectrum of the earning potential on the AdSense revenue, sometimes only making like $1 or maybe $1.50 for 1,000 views. This could be because, maybe the actual content is not as advertiser friendly, maybe they're using suspect language or showing violence, or it could be that the target audience is just way too wide, and so casting your advertising net on that piece of content is going to get back a less motivated buyer. Think about it. If you're a person that likes to sell tennis balls, would you rather sell tennis balls to a group of 100,000 people where they're all different ages and they have all different interests? Or are you going to want to sell your tennis ball to a group of 10,000 people that are Wimbledon who really enjoy playing tennis? Obviously, you're going to go for that second group, right? And this is really important to note, because on the higher end of the spectrum, you might have generally less engagement en masse. That is to say, maybe you're not making 1 million views a day, but you have people who have higher incomes, they have more disposable wealth, and they'll be able to use that disposable income to make a better return on the investment for the advertiser. And these can be much higher than you think is reasonable, right? Some top-end financial channels like Meet Kevin, Graham Stephan, Minority Mindsets, Bigger Pockets, they can get CPMs and RPMs that are staggering. Some CPMs can be as high as $50, $60 for the advertiser, sometimes $100, with the RPMs clocking in at $30 to $40 per 1,000 views. That means if a content creator, let's say in this case, Meet Kevin, makes a piece of content and only gets back 75,000 views, but it's on like monetary policy, which is a really high end niche, he could be making like $60 per 1,000 views. That's an RPM of $60. So if you get a 75,000 view video for 1 day's work on a video, you're getting back $4,500. And a lot of these folks are posting what they're making just to keep track of it. So you can actually go on these channels and they'll show you how much they'll be making in a day. And it does meter out that they're making, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000, $13,000 a day sometimes making videos. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you'll have people that make millions of views and only get like $1,000 a day or something because of the advertiser related content not really matching up with what the companies want to spend on. So what I've learned is that the mortgage and finance community, while really engaged with a lot of my content, is only so big. What I think that would maximize on both the monetization and the engagement with the community is what's called broad single subject content. What that means is you want to do content that is all comprised within one subject, but make that subject wide enough to appeal to enough people so that you'll get a pretty good return back. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is the one that I've kind of struggled with because of issues around my testicular cancer, and that is keeping a consistent posting schedule. Posting consistently is one of the leading indicators of whether or not YouTube is going to pick up more and more of your content. One, because you're bound to run into a video that people will like, and that is going to kick you into the next level of the algorithm. In fact, I had one video go off, relatively in the mortgage space, and I've never dipped below those numbers since then, right? So it can change your entire landscape of your channel. But if you don't keep a consistent schedule, that's going to show your viewership and show YouTube that you're not really going to be a constant source of revenue for YouTube or information and value for your viewership, and it's going to go down over time. So this is something that I sort of struggle with. but I'm going to try to keep a consistent schedule going forward. Other good ways to maximize on your profitability as a YouTuber are to pay attention to your analytics. You're going to see all sorts of things relative to the impressions you get, how much your CPM and RPM drop, where you are keeping and retaining viewership, and how much viewership drops depending on what content you're making. Maximizing on your click-through rate is key. If you can get somebody, clicking on your video because maybe you have a good thumbnail, but you can't keep most of those people watching throughout the whole video, that also tells YouTube that maybe your content isn't going to be optimized for more viewership. So if you pay attention to the analytics, keep it consistent, and broaden your niche or your target audience as much as you can while keeping it profitable, I think that this is going to lead to an exponential growth in my channel over the next few months and years if I can stick to it. And it hasn't been hard to stick to it. For the majority of my existence as a YouTuber, I haven't even been monetized because it's hard to grow an audience when you're talking about mortgages. However, if you do stick to it, even if you don't get a ton of viewership, even if you don't engage a lot with a lot of people, you can still make a pretty modest return. So that's it for this video, folks. If you have any questions about what you should do if you are interested in becoming a YouTuber and talking about your experiences in life and in business, just go ahead and shoot them in the comments below and I'll try to help you out as best as I can. And if you have any other questions about mortgages, finance, just anything in that space, go ahead and let me know and I'll be sure to make a video about it. Until then, folks, I hope I see you in the next one. Hopefully we'll be a little bit richer and a little bit happier. Peace, guys.